We must unite politically and integrate our economies for the benefit of African people. These are the words of our next guest, Samia Yaba Nkrumah. She is, of course, the daughter of Dr Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president after gaining independence. Samia is the founder and president of the Kwame Nkrumah Pan-African Center and is, of course, in the country, having delivered the Albert Luthuli Lecture in Durban, and it's a great pleasure to welcome her here into our Morning Live studios. What a pleasure to meet you and have you here. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So, talk to us about your experience being at the lecture, doing sort of what you do best, standing up and speaking about Pan-Africanism. How did it all go?
Yes, wonderful. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah.
Because I think what South Africans don't realize is that at a certain point in time, every African was a South African. We really lived with you in the struggle, and everybody was committed to see a successful conclusion and an end to apartheid.
Yeah.
So my coming here, linking up with the Luthuli family, who I met in Accra about 2 years ago, thinking and reflecting on what Chief Luthuli and Kwame Nkrumah stood for: justice, peace and democracy, freedom and unity for their people, has been very rewarding. So I've had an excellent few days, and it's given me also the opportunity to connect more with the people of the great people of this country.
Yeah.
And this is what we need to do as Africans. You know, we don't need to just meet around political discussions, but as leaders, but the people, we need to get to know each other, become friends, familiar with each other's histories, cultures, and everything. So it's been worth every minute.
It's so wonderful having you here and talking to those ideals that your father believed in, those ideals that Nelson Mandela believed in, and
Absolutely.
our great forefathers before us. It's refreshing to hear that again coming up in this generation, because you know you kind of found that ideal of Pan-Africanism has almost disappeared, and that people are now talking about closing borders, building walls, stopping people from coming in and looking down on others that may have a citizenship in one country and not in another, not welcoming, the issue of xenophobia. And this seems to be something that's taking over the idea of unifying the continent. What still drives you?
Well, what drives me is, one, studying what our fathers and mothers did, because they paved the way for us.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important to look back briefly, not to get stuck in the past, but you need to understand what happened. You know, what was the essence of political independence? It was to give Africans the freedom to choose the policies that would benefit our people. And one of those policies would be unification. We were never meant to remain or be small, individually, economically unviable states, because in truth, that's what many of our countries are, struggling to pay our debts, even struggling to get loans at good rates. So we are struggling separately, and the old idea of African unity is one great solution that we have not really paid much attention to.
Yeah.
You see, the African need not rise against another fellow African, man or woman, if things at home are better. If conditions are better for every African to reach their full potential. So the reasons for going back to Pan-Africanism and African unity are urgent and have to do with our quality of life, our dignity, our purpose in life as Africans. We need to regain that dignity. We need to regain that peace. We need to regain that sense of achievement that our great civilizations, way before enslavement and colonialism happened.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We were meant to be a great people who can make their contribution to humanity, to science, technology, and all the great things that the world at large aspires to. And leaders like Chief Luthuli, like Kwame Nkrumah, remind us of that, and remind us that it is impossible.
Yeah, it certainly is. It almost seems impossible with all the noise that's being made lately and the aggression towards each other, which is a big problem. But you're a living proof of the welcoming feeling within different African countries. I mean, you yourself moved from Ghana, you went to Egypt. Of course, that was where your mother was from. But then you went to other African countries and you found refuge. You found a place of safety and security in and amongst fellow Africans that welcomed you due to the political circumstances in your birth country of Ghana.
Yes.
And that's that welcoming thing that people have tend to forgotten about.
That's right. You know, our father used to say that when, after the illegal overthrow, he went to live in Conakry, in Guinea-Conakry, and he said he's not in exile. He cannot be in exile as long as he's in an African country.
Yeah?
Yes. He also said, I'm not an African because I was born in Africa. I'm an African because Africa was born in me. So it's a consciousness and an awareness of the mission. So the mission for this generation is clear. It's cut out for us. We have to take the baton. We have to carry forward with the Freedom March. It is clear what needs to be done. But what we need is courage, is understanding of our situation, and it's a vision. And that vision must be seen within a political framework.
Yeah.
So we are saying we don't just need economic unity, we need political unity. But to reach that stage where our leaders would be ready to unite politically, there has to be some popular understanding, conscientization, and a popular drive, sort of a movement. The people want prosperity, and unity can give us that prosperity.
Yeah.
Unity can give us that industrialization we need. Unity can give us that dignity and peace we need to be able to ask for favorable trade conditions. So I think it's a mission for every African, everybody living in Africa, working in Africa, everybody who loves Africa and wants to see us overcome our challenges. I think that's our mission. It's cut out for us.
And to thrive as a continent, and a continent that should so rightfully be thriving. There's no reason why we shouldn't. We have everything here, which unfortunately is not being used to the betterment of the people. You've often been quoted as saying, and I'll read it, that you caution Africans to constantly remember where they come from, where they are going to, and how to get there. I mean, if your dad had to be alive and see what's happening on the continent right now, it's almost like his vision, the lights are going out on his vision. How would he feel? What would he say at a time like this?
Yes, you are right. I mean, let's face it, we did not listen to Kwame Nkrumah. We did not listen.
No.
You know, 63, he's warning us that we have to unite, otherwise we are going to get more dependent on outside. He told us also that it would have been easier to do it then, immediately after independence, because otherwise, you know, the confusion, the economic problems will get even harder, and we'll be entrenched in within our little borders. So he also gave us the prescription, listing a long list of requirements. Political unity to guide our economic integration decisions, the usual. We keep on coming back to that. Common currency, common one central bank of issue, and that currency will be backed by, as you said, our wealth of resources. So it will be solid, and common markets, which we are now deliberating upon. But all these things are taking longer to happen because we are not attending to the first call of unity, and that is political. Most decisions are political, and this is where the people must come in. The youth of Africa, the women of Africa must push for what is right for them. And it is no longer a matter to be left to political leaders. It must be the whole of society. The average African today is a young person, energetic, vibrant, creative, but with not enough jobs. You know, looking for, searching and seeking for that dignity that a strong, powerful, united nation will give them. We have to give chance to those young people to speak and to express their aspirations. And we have to be humble enough to listen to them, take a step back and stand behind them. So we need the politics of modesty, of humility, of morality. We need leaders who are ready to be a little less with big egos and with smaller egos. We have to stand behind our people, and the majority of our people are young.
And that's the big issue, young and women.
So we
and the two groupings of the most abused groupings of the continent, women and the youth.
And they're the majority.
And that's
can you
the
imagine?
focus. I know, I can. I want to speak to you all morning, but I'm looking at the clock and it's telling me I can't, because it's gone 8 o'clock. What a joy listening to you and speaking to you and having you with us for such a short amount of time. Your wish was to go visit Soweto. Is it happening? Are you going?
It is happening.
Yes.
I thought even if I don't sleep, even if we don't have time to I have to go. We need that inspiration.
I'm so glad.
It's great to be in your country.
It's a pleasure having you here.
Me.
Please spread that warmth, that love and that vision that you have that I think we all need so badly. It's helped me this morning, and I hope it's helped other South Africans watching and others on the continent as well. Samia Yaba Nkrumah, who is of course the daughter of Ghana's first president, Dr Kwame Nkrumah, who is in the country having delivered the Albert Luthuli Lecture. I know it's gone past 8 o'clock. Here's your news with Sakina.